Okay, we are live. Welcome to another exciting episode of a podcast, and we have you got myself, the host here, Stephen Maxted, and a super, as we were talking, a long-awaited guest and catch up here with Addison Herosian. And Addison joins us from. We'll probably cover a couple of things today, but his background is in real estate, and he's launching. And part of my excitement about having him on the episode today was to talk about new launches, some new technology, we'll call it market disruptive in many cases, and got me kind of excited about some experiences that I've had in agriculture and in other tech scenes, and bringing that to reality. So we'll dive in more right away. But Addison, thanks for joining us, and give the listener a little sneak peek of what we're getting into today.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited, man. And yeah, like you mentioned, there's, come from a real estate background, and you touched upon it. My business partner and I in the real estate world, Jesse and I, brought a new brokerage to Manitoba called The Real Broker. And with some help with some other individuals, and we're launched. And I think we're already over 50 agents in less than 2 months, coming to be an industry disruptor and based off of tech. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it. I'm a devoted husband and father. I got just over a 1-year-old at home.
Awesome.
I'm home right now in my home office, and it's not super glorious, but I live just outside the outskirts of Winnipeg, and work mainly in Winnipeg as a realtor. Have a development company with a business partner as well, where we build infill housing, and then brought the brokerage to Winnipeg, or to Manitoba, sorry. And then I have a large rental portfolio as well that I own and manage of rental properties in Winnipeg. So that's kind of my overall summary of me. And I'm an avid golfer. I love golfing. So
good. I'm glad. It was funny as you were talking there. I'm like, I hope he mentions golf. I just wrote it down. I was like, I'm going to bring up avid golfer here real quick. Is what I just jotted down. I always have paper in front of me.
Yeah.
That's I think that's a great summary. We're going to dive into whatever we want to unpack, wherever this leads. But I kind of want to jump back, because I know it happened in my last role where I touched in being in your industry of real estate for about 1.5 years. And I got to see lots of stories of how people got started, and you watch their development, and either really take off, or maybe it's just not for them. But how did you get started? You have a portfolio, you got a development company, and you're bringing a new kind of disruptive technology brokerage to Canada, into the province of Manitoba here. But what got you started? Let's go back to kind of day one, or however you want to get that in here.
So kind of my path was I'll call it a bit of a unique one. I've always been a bit of a money brain. Even through my final years of high school, I was like, I want to learn about wealth and building generational wealth. So I took it upon myself, and I remember sitting in grade 11 economics class and learning more about economics and making money and using money to make money. And I just got my brain swirling. And then I started diving into, I read about everything, every single type of investment strategy there was, I read about it. And then when I realized real estate investing was a thing, it really piqued my interest. And I don't come from a family of real estate agents. I don't come from a family of people that own rental properties. My parents were business owners, but that was it. They owned their business, and that's what they focused on. That was it. And I, at the time, was like, all right, I want to do some self-learning. And coming out of high school, going into my first couple of years of university out of high school, I was in school to be a teacher. Right out of high school, went right into university. I was still playing junior hockey at the time. So I was taking university classes here and playing junior hockey locally as well. And so it was a lot of work. I didn't go to class very often. I got to admit, I did a lot of self-learning, even for my schooling. I passed all my classes. I've had multiple classes. I never even stepped foot in the class. I had the textbook, and I learned it myself. So I've always been a self-motivated individual, and taking it upon myself to further my learning. And throughout all this time, and playing hockey and going through university, I was learning about real estate investing, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And every summer I'd have off with hockey. I'd be working multiple jobs. trying to make as much money as I can so I could go invest it. It was a very small amount, right? I eventually saved up enough, and then junior hockey ended, and I bought my first place. I think I was 21 or 22. It was about a year or two after I finished my junior hockey career, and I was full-time working and still finishing my university courses. And at the time, gosh, where was I even working? I can't remember at the time, but I definitely was doing personal training because my family owned a gym, and I was doing that. I started that at a really young age and was always involved working there at a young age. And I was doing personal training there. I was running some goalie schools as well, I believe. I was a goalie, so training goalies in hockey. And gosh, I did something else too. And I can't even remember what my jobs were. Anyways, kind of going through that path. And then I bought my first rental property. And that's the whole point. Nice. I bought my first rental property right away. 2 years ago. That's the whole point of the story. And when I did that and I made the leap, and it was a lot of learning and a lot of thinking and a lot of self-reflection. And I did that and I go, oh, cool. Everything that I've been learning about this and, the books and stuff that I've been learning was all a lot of US based stuff. Nothing specific for the Winnipeg market. I didn't really have any mentors here. And I just said, screw it, I'm going to do it. And I did it. And I learned when I did it was that, what I've been teaching myself, I just did it. And it gave me a lot of confidence to say, okay, what I put myself and my energy towards, I can do that. And it also taught me that real estate investing is an incredible path for me to build wealth, because I could see the fruits of the labor and kind of learning what I had learning. And I started with single family homes, and I'd buy nicer homes in good areas of Winnipeg. And I would put awesome families in there, and I'd be very specific who I would put in there. And that my first property I bought, my tenants stayed there for 8 years. And fast forward 8 years later, after they bought that, I helped them buy a home and get them out of renting and buy a home. And it was a really awesome experience all throughout that from buying that first one. So I bought that first rental property. Then I kept working. I had a multitude of other jobs. I was a bartender. I did a lot of bartending, late nights, early mornings, personal training. And then I even had a stint for a year working at the Manitoba Youth Center doing corrections, and a good government job, just really drained me mentally. The shift work was not for me, but I made a lot of money doing that. That allowed me to buy another rental property. And before I even got my license, I would have been 25-ish when I got my license. And before I even got my license, I had 4 rentals. And awesome. That's what sparked me to say, I gotta, I love real estate. I dropped out. I think I had like 1 year left of finishing my degree at the time. It took me a while because of hockey and everything. And I dropped out with 1 year left to finish my education degree to be a teacher. And I said, I'm pursuing real estate full time. And I never looked back. And it was obviously a great decision. But yeah, it was the rental properties that really got my brain ticking. And even when I got my real estate license, it took me 6 weeks to get my license. They give you 6 to 12 months is kind of the standard time. Yeah. It took me 6 weeks. I did it as fast as you possibly could. I again, self-learner, but I knew so much stuff already because I had 4 mortgages. I'd gone through the process. I kind of felt like I was already in the industry without being in the industry. So that's what got me started. And it was truly from investment properties. And fast forward now, I got just over 40 of them in Winnipeg, and a couple other businesses like I mentioned earlier on. So that's kind of what started my brain for sure.
That was awesome. That was a whole scoop right there of everything. And like you nailed a couple of things here. Just like I said, I always got to be taking notes on these things. I was gonna say, many people when we're chatting with them, and I think I understand your brain a lot more than ever, because this is kind of first time really connecting directly one-on-one here. But like I can see your vision there. Like you got the property, you got these other jobs, you're doing the math every day about like every hour you work, how much you're making, to be able to like do that other stuff to get to that next step. And I think I just wrote down like it's like I wrote down start small, but it's not really like calculated, I think is probably the better word for like where you were going, because you knew what you had to do. You looked at the numbers. I remember just like segue back on like a little story on my end, but when I started really thinking more about numbers, parents and everyone business, I guess a little like side business stuff, but they were dedicated employees at their jobs within like the government. My dad worked for Hydro for, like the 37-year style career. And so different experiences there, but I had to raise money to go to this space camp in like grade 7 or grade 8. I remember I was doing like the math. It's a very basic version of what you just described here, but I think it's important to mention for the young listener to be like, hey, like, if you, as long as you're starting that like momentum starts to build, along the way, whether you're investing in like a GIC along with, or whatever you were doing, or maybe you're in stocks like early on too, to get to that point of like then growing your own money. If you're reading those books, I'm sure it was something like that you did. And then the school thing, but the experience versus schooling, you mentioned like going into real estate. I just recently talked about this, I think on another episode, and just how you like hammered through that nothing will replace experience. Right. Like, I mean, some people do, like if they don't have any experience, it will take them a year or a year and a half to that, if they have another job, but sometimes it's better to just dive right in, right? Whether you're doing, I don't know, renos or you're doing property management, whatever it is, whatever your segue is in the real estate, if that's the passion, just to figure a way to like get in there. I think that's super awesome. Okay. So we got to start. That was a big start and a lot of stuff going on there. I appreciate the heck out of that hustle, the way that you mentioned that. And just like probably lack of sleep. Like, I don't know how I used to do that either, though. You probably look back, think the same thing, especially if you got a kid now.
I used to be able to buy more rentals. I remember this vividly. Obviously, I used to work bartending shifts, and I was at Boston Pizza. I would work from 3 p.m. until about 3 a.m. I'd get home like just after 3. I'd sleep from about 3:15 to around 5 o'clock in the morning. So about just under 2 hours of sleep. I'd wake up, I'd go to the gym for around 5:30. I'd do a morning boot camp class. I'd train clients till about noon. I'd go home, get about 12:15 to 3 o'clock sleep, and then I'd do it again. I would do that 6-7 days a week. It was tiresome, but for me, it was like, the hustle was, that's great. Like, I'm making really good money and I'm working towards my goal. But yeah, it definitely had an effect on my health. And some days I remember like I'd have a Sunday where I'd have off of both jobs and I'd line it up and I would sleep all day.
I
need to catch up on some rest, and it would just be like, I got to sleep all day. Yeah, I would do that. And like even the shift work when I was at the youth center, I would work double shifts. I would work overtime. I'd take everything. I would be loading up my hours. And that was also part of like why I couldn't do it. It was just too much. It was too much, right? But it was worth it in the long run. Where I'm sitting here now, and it helped me get to here and it helped me learn. So yeah, it's exhausting though.
Yep, that's super relatable. I used to do the same thing. I feel like it was like a 2 or 3 week cycle, more to the where it's like a 3 week I could go like super hard, and then I'd have to have like a weekend where I literally just like slept and like didn't like move a lot. And then I'd be like, okay, then you get like that Monday or Sunday, however the week was starting off with like the day job and the side jobs and stuff. And then it was like, then you were good for another 3, but then you crash again, or I would crash again. Yeah. And my parents tell some funny stories about that. Okay. So we got it was great starting points and story sharing here. And now you're getting into real estate. Like how did that career start for you? You're on your own. Did you start with the team? I don't know if you know that about you.
Yes. So when I first started off, so Jesse's still to this day my business partner in my realtor world. I've known him since I was a kid. He was close friends with my sister. He has a few brothers and 2 brothers, and they are all grew up with my sister. They've been in my life my entire life. So I've known them forever. Like they're family to me. And he actually coached me in hockey because Jesse was a hockey coach, and he coached me in hockey for I think it was 2 or 3 years. So it's pretty cool to be like, I grew up with him. He was around my life, in my house all the time when I was a kid. And then I was 14 or 15, and he coached me in those couple of years in there, and kind of rekindled and got our friendship again. And shortly-ish thereafter, he got into real estate. He's been in it for, I think, 4 to 5 years longer than I have. And I saw his growth. And at the time, Jesse was really pioneering social media. He was like one of the first guys to really pioneer social media and video in real estate. And he was taking it by storm. And like for better or worse, like him or not, he had no shame in his game, and he was doing it. And I had a strong affinity to be like, dude, good for you, and he helped me get some of my rentals. So, it was cool to be around him and seeing how he did his business, how he handled his business. and how he was growing it. And someone like me that said as a young guy, oh, this is kind of like how I want to grow mine too. So who better to learn from him? So actually, when I was made the decision to get my license, I sat down with Jess and I was like, hey, listen, I'm going to get this. Just kind of want your advice. Pick someone's brain, right? And I picked a bunch of agents' brain. And at the time he goes, man, you're like a brother to me. And I would love for you to do this with me. And I was like, okay, well, sounds good to me. He's like, I'll teach you how to do it, teach you the ropes. And also, he's also at the time needed some help. He couldn't do open houses anymore. He didn't have time. He had kids, wanted to spend more time with his kids and his family and not be out as much. So I came on, basically worked all of the open houses that he had, utilized the listings that he had as marketing for myself as well, because we were a team now. So I had some content behind me when I did it. And he's like, create video. So I started creating video, and we just became really active on social media. And a lot of that was from his advice and guidance. And, I always say he didn't give me any handouts, but he was there as a mentor to me to really push me. Not that I needed pushing, but to push me to say, here's how you can do it. And I took that and I said, all right, here's how we're going to do it. And within the first year, I really established a strong business in my first year. Second year, same thing. And then from there, it was like, okay, it was kind of me working under him a little bit to now, okay, we're working alongside. And we kind of amalgamated the team to be the Peters Herosian group. And now it's kind of, and he loves it. It's kind of, role reversal in a way. I'm the one who's busy with all the sales. He spends a lot more time with his family, takes pride in not doing as much sales as he was when it was crazy, not as much time with his family. And he's heavily devoted to the brokerage and building a lot of the back end stuff with that, where I'm still keeping the team afloat for us. And that was kind of the start and what the evolution's been to now be the Peters Herosian group, the PHG. And that's our dynamic. And we're like, like Batman and Robin. And it's just like, we attack it and we love it. And, I can see he's texting me right now about some advice on a listing he's got coming in Charleswood, and just wants to kick some ideas off of me. And same thing, just having someone there in an industry like this that can be super lonely, in a lonely island industry, especially for me coming out as a young guy when I didn't really know. I knew a few people in it, but didn't really know anybody else. To have somebody to be a sounding board, because I didn't know my broker. I didn't want to go to my broker. I wanted someone that I could trust to be a sounding board when I came into the industry, which was nice. And he was that for me. And now fast forward to like having Real here and having a new industry disruptor, we'll call it, in a brokerage. That's really the whole idea of this brokerage, is you have access to everybody. You have access to anybody, and anybody you want to learn from, all you got to do is, you ask, and they will give, because the idea of the brokerages is everybody succeeds. Everybody is now an owner in this company. So it's changed the mindset of, keeping your cards close to your chest as an agent, not sharing your tips and secrets because you don't want somebody to outproduce you. No, I want people that come to this to outproduce me. We all want that to happen because it grows the company, and everybody wins when the company like this is giving back the profits of their company to their agents. So that is the full transition of when I got into it and where we're kind of at now.
Awesome.
Briefly.
Okay, so I want to kind of pick apart a little bit more on kind of like where you're at today, and how maybe for a listener too, because I know that there is a lot of content more so now today with realtors talking about probably more like the micro side of things, like where the listings at, all that other stuff, but not a lot of people, I think, like dive into the industry, and I'm not sure all what's shareable and whatnot. So I'll try to kind of lightly enough.
I don't care.
Okay, well, we'll chat through it. I think like for a listener here, like the way that it works for, we'll call it, what did I call it? Traditional, I think, for a bit. When I was at with Keller Williams there, because they were kind of like in between when I was there. That was my experience, right? They were touching in tech, but they did still have brick and mortar there, starting to be like a profit share system. Then, and I guess like for a listener here too, more traditional brokerage like names that you would have seen out there would be Century 21, Remax. What else do we have in there?
Roll the page.
Roll a page. Yeah. I was like, there's another R one. Why I haven't like touched this stuff. So, we got those 3 big ones. There's many more. And then there's smaller brokerages that exist as well. Again, a little bit more traditional looking. Then we get into Keller Williams model. If I mention that again, here is that a combination of use of tech and profit sharing within that system. And then from that stemmed, the one like before you guys launched was called, or is called EXP, where there is like profit sharing within there, also tech integrated into their platform, from what I've seen. And then now we have Real with you guys. I would call this the newest brokerage to launch in Canada and probably the States too. I don't know if there's anyone else really like touching in this system. And from the kind of like outside and inside in, when I look at all 3 of them, but we could chat through how it's different within you guys there, but utilizing tech and not having like traditional brick and mortar commitments in terms of like rent or ownership there is really a big gap separator from the initial outside in. But then what else is kind of going on behind the scenes to really like break it down? Because I know if you're not in industry, like besides dealing with your realtor telling you what's going on in the industry, it's not super common knowledge.
No, it's not. So yeah, here's the breakdown basically. So your traditional brick and mortar brokerages, they charge agents a fee, right? So there's a monthly fee that gets charged to them to basically cover their costs in some fashion. And then they also have a certain split in terms of a certain percentage of each of your commission checks goes to the brokerage as well to cover their fees and to earn some sort of profit for your broker. And then obviously for the company that you're working under, whether it's a Remax, whether it's a Royal LePage. That's just your general layout with these traditional brokerages. And that's what agents have been accustomed to knowing and doing for years. You want to be in the game, you got to pay to play. It's essentially what it was, right? And some of these fees and these splits can be quite extensive. And mine was at Remax. And and even mine, I negotiated a really good thing. And I still to this day, I'll never say anything bad about Remax. I think there's a lot of place for it. There's a lot of there's still places for traditional brokerages for certain realtors in the industry, for sure. But kind of fast forward to where we're at now. When Remax launched in, I think it was the late 70s, they were the industry disruptor. They were the ones that were doing things different than anybody else with lower splits, lower fees, and that was their thing. Now, fast forward to where we're at in terms of the industry, and there's other companies doing things. Like you mentioned, Keller Williams was one that started to bring in a bit more of a profit share program where they would give some profits of the company back to agents based on production and based on them helping grow the company by bringing other agents to the company. And they would give you some bonuses for doing that. But they still had some costs to cover with their brick and mortar stores. So they couldn't get the fees too terribly reduced in my opinion. Then you look at someone like an EXP, who was the first one to really come in as a cloud-based brokerage, which is what Real is. And EXP came in and they said, we're getting rid of all brick and mortar. We're a cloud-based company. It's going to reduce all of our overhead so we can give back extremely low splits and give back profits to our agents. And this is going to be where people are going to want to be in. And now a world where brick and mortar is going, agents don't need offices as much. We're on the go all the time. We have home offices. Who needs to be paying for that? And they took the idea away and this is, I'm just talking about the model, the EXP model of a cloud-based brokerage, which is what I was so attracted to. The idea was you don't have a broker owner anymore. The broker, it doesn't own the company and earn profits. No, everybody is essentially their own little broker of this company because we can all earn profits by helping growing the company. So the broker is just a salaried employee by the company now. And yes, they can help grow the company and they can make money if they help grow the company, of course, but so can everybody else. So now everybody's on the same playing field, right? And the idea of the model was you get these lower fees, you get these low splits. So more money now is getting back in the pockets of agents. And that was extremely, extremely attractive to me when Jesse and I, so when COVID started, we sat back and we said, we need to review we need to review things. Where are we at with our life, right? And I think COVID made everybody self-reflect a little bit. And we were devoted Remaxers. Jesse had been in it for, oh God, 10 plus years. I had been basically, 6 years. And we had explored, but we hadn't fully explored. And we said, we're going to treat ourselves as free agents. And we looked at everything, and we analyzed EXP up and down, and we loved the model. We loved it so much. Real wasn't here yet. And we said, this model makes so much sense, but there was still something with it that had been a little bit holding us back. And I think it was more so in the culture of what they were. They were a bit more established in a way already. I mean, they're still growing, but they were a bit more established. And the culture of it was a lot of was with EXP, in my opinion, again, was just derived about recruiting and making sure they grew their agent count, and a lot about land mass. And when I first got into the industry, I had a lot of agents with EXP calling me out of the blue, message me, join EXP, join EXP, join EXP. I'm like, okay, cool. Kind of like brushed it off, to be honest. But there was a lot of cold calling happening, and they have people in the company that are just hired to be recruiters and to get agents to the company, which, if you bring more agents to the company, that's what helps it grow. So I get it. But there was just something there that didn't mesh with me and Jess, that we were like, there's something holding us back. And at that time, God, we were so close to going, to be honest. But thankfully we held back, and our buddy out in Calgary, Brad McCallum, gave us a call when he got word through the grapevine that we were looking at some options. And he goes, guys, please hold on. We've known Brad since he got his license, and he's been a friend of ours always. And he said to us, guys, hang tight. I'm bringing something to Canada, and I want you guys to be a part of it. So he basically told us to pause. And he's the one who really helped bring Real to Canada, and started in Alberta. So in Calgary is where it started. And we said, okay, we hit the pause button. What's that, Steve?
That's right. I just said that's interesting that they started in Alberta. They're kind of booming right now, but just a little adage in here. I don't think some of those other brokerages are in Alberta that we just mentioned, to my knowledge.
EXP is.
EXP is?
Yeah, EXP is. Keller Williams, I'm not sure. I'm sure they are. Sure they are. But yeah, so he brought that to Alberta, and they're growing crazy there. So anyways, we hit the pause button on doing anything. We said, okay, we're going to sit back. We're going to watch this. A little unsure it was something brand new coming to Canada. We knew they're going to go through their hiccups. They're going to go through their growing pains. But at the same time, we trusted Brad, and he told us about the core values of the company of Real. And their main one, work hard, be kind, embrace, resolve, evolve. Like some of the stuff that we resonate with so highly, we're like, okay, cool. And then they changed they have it in their service contract in terms of how you go about, and they don't call it agent recruitment, they call it agent attraction. And become the magnet. We are the magnet now that we do these things like our podcast. We talk about it. We promote it. Our listings, promoting our properties, our clients' properties, being active on social media, being active in our community, and showing why we love the company so much will allow people to ask us questions. So we don't have to be the ones that go out there and bug people. We don't have to be the ones out there that are recruiting. We're the attractors, right? And that was the culture that they really set a precedent of, that we were like, oh wow, this is up our alley. And then they changed things even more so from the tech standpoint. They have a one-stop shop system where I have all of my transactions extremely organized and categorized in the system. I input my files directly onto that. All the files are accessible. The broker has immediate access to them. The lawyer gets access to them. It's all there under one system. I never have to look back on possession dates, who the lawyers were for certain deals. I just go into my system and it's all there. Along with that, they integrated their own version of DocuSign in it. That's free for us. They have their own learning center with like 300 plus classes being done all the time. Like it's anything you want to learn about, teach about, whatever it is, you have access to it. and you can learn from everybody in the community. No matter who introduces you to the company, you have access to everybody in the company. So that is what has really changed. And then the amount of money that I've saved in coming over here has been extensive, and it's saving money. And then they give you some opportunity to earn other money in the company, and they're a publicly shared company. So they give you stocks, you can buy stocks. They reward you with extra stocks if you buy it, like a stock purchase program. It's wild, man. It's like, it opened my eyes up to, oh my goodness, this world exists here. I don't think enough people, I think in the real estate industry in general, we get so complacent with where we are because we're always hustling, we're always working. You don't have time to analyze your business and say, where am I losing money here? What else can help improve my business? Because you're always working in it, not on it.
Yep, nailed it. I was going to say that is like so common, right? You're working in it because you are the business motor. Like, unless you are like building up a team or doing different things where you have that time, energy, space, whatever you want to call it, to think about working on the business. Something I get caught in often, where I get caught being the worker, and not that that's a bad thing. It's nice to touch these things early on, but then as you start scaling, it's like, hey, how do you actually change this? And I just took a minute, my eyes glanced over here. I did take a look at the website and some stuff beforehand. I don't do usually tons of research to try to let it flow here, but just for reference sake, and in Canada right now, it's Alberta, BC, Manitoba, Ontario. Right. And then I am looking at the splits here, and I did want to like dive in just for listener to, I guess, understand too, if they're not from real estate, maybe they're just listening to us chat. In general, they've followed us this far. But a traditional split, let's call, I don't know, correct me if you want to use like different numbers, but if we were to do like a 4% on a house, like 2% on each end for buyer, seller, let's just like use that as like a number. And you got a 500,000. You're going to know these numbers quicker than I am going to on here, but 2% on each side of that 500K is 10K.
Yep.
And then from there, I see what your split is, but what is sometimes the split from a broker or in a team? What does that sometimes look like?
Yes. So let's just use your example. Like you said, if you sell a 500K house, kind of on average, you're getting a 2% commission on it, right? So you're looking at 10K. Okay. So you start with 10K. Then a general commission split that you see from most brokerages is an 80-20 split. So 20% goes to the brokerage right away, and you keep 80%. So 20% gone, that's $2,000. You're now left with $8,000. Okay. After you're left with $8,000, well, you still have your monthly expenses that you're paying to the brokerage as well. Generally speaking, they're anywhere from, depending on this, and it changes. You can have a higher monthly fee and a lower split, or you can have a higher split and a lower monthly fee. But if you're on an 80-20 split, your fees are probably a little bit lower, $500 to $700 a month, which you're still going to be paying those, right? And then they have some other things. Oftentimes they'll have a little per deal fee mixed in there, $100 to $200, just like as a little fee mixed in there with that. And then we have countless other fees like our board dues, just like our marketing expenses, gas, whatever. But that's just kind of your general rule of thumb. So it's usually like an 80-20 split with a really high cap or no cap at all. So you're paying that all year round, no matter how many deals you do, plus your monthly expenses of $500 to $700 a month. And that's kind of your general rule of thumb. Okay. With Real, what they said is there's no monthly fees. Monthly fees don't exist here. We're on an 85-15 split. Yep. So 15% goes to the brokerage, but that caps out at $12,000 paid to the brokerage. So once you hit an $80,000 yearly gross commission and you've paid $12,000 to Real, then you collect 100% of your commissions. Okay. So that is, there's a lot more to it, but that's just the general rule.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I think really capturing that is like a thing there, because if we reverse that math on how many you have to sell to cap, or whatever, like that's what you call it, kilograms there. But so 12K, let's say it's, you sell six $500,000 houses, that's 6 house deals that you are good for. And then after that, it looks like it's 100% comes back to you as the agent then. And how much of an impact does that have on, an early on agent, or even, just for anyone who's looking at cash flow?
That's a great question. It's like, who does this model suit? So we're getting honestly, so many people. So you have brand new agents that come in, and I just got off a call with a brand new agent who was with a more traditional brokerage. They're paying their monthly fees. They're not doing a ton of business yet. And they're like, every month they're just trying to pay their bills, and they're having to work another job to pay their bills. And it's like, well, here, if you don't do a deal, you don't pay anything. If you want to travel for 6 months, you don't pay anything. So that's where it's like, oh, you could actually be in a company like this and not have to worry about covering your bills. You only pay as you do business. So that's really nice. And then someone like me, who's a bit more of, not a bit more, isn't a more experienced agent, a lot of volume. Yeah. It just puts a lot more money back in my pocket. And I'm not going to say the numbers, but the amount of money that I save a year already from being with this company, it's extensive. Like it is extensive, and it's life-changing. Like it's fully it's life-changing. And, so whether you're brand new, you just don't want those monthly costs, or you do a lot of business or a medium amount of business and you just want to save monthly costs, that is what this company is here for. And then you have the additional opportunity to earn money. So there's a system called the stock purchase program where I give a certain percentage of my commissions to buy stock. I own that stock, and they literally give me gifted stock at a 15% bonus and a 30% bonus, depending if it's before or after my cap. So it's immediate 15 or 30% return on my money before the stock even grows. And I'm getting that for free from the company. So it's just an added way to earn some income. And then if an agent talks to me about the company and I say, here's why, here's what it is, I can earn a yearly income, not out of their pocket. The company pays me, Real pays me for bringing them there and saying, hey, you promoted the brand of them, you promoted Real, you were an advocate for it, and you're here to help this person and grow this person's business. Here, we're going to gift you some money. It's incredible, man. And it's just cool to see that this exists. And I mean, I know the CEO, the VP of Canada, the VP of the entire company, and their hearts are so big. And you just kind of know when you're with the right people and you're with your people, and you feel it, right? And it's here.
Cool. That is awesome. I think that you did a great job breaking that down there too, in terms of numbers. I don't think it's something that's like well known enough outside of like industry enough. I think a lot of people are, they see we just broke down there for math. They know what the realtors are making. Like, oh, great. They basically walked from the house with, $10K cash. That's not really how it works. You're running a business. There's expenses attached to that. In this case, I see it as like a huge advantage in terms of like that tech advancement in this industry and for where you guys are heading. All the other added in there too. I was kind of like, this is sweet, but the core of what you guys are doing and creating here. And if it is like a good fit for someone, I would say that definitely have a conversation. Obviously you want to fit within their, the culture that you guys have created there is also, that's not for everyone too. Some people probably need the more traditional side, just being real, that's funny, being real, but talking about being realistic, and thinking in abundance mindset. Cause I think that's sometimes more the limiting factor with a lot of these folks is, there's still lots of people that will be within that other system, but kind of adapt and grow, right, though, too, is needed within that part of the industry.
And I think the main there's two main points with a company like with Real that I hit we'll call it backlash on. Number one is the office space. Some agents still want office space. So what we actually did is we got a deal locally here with Launch Co-Share office space for a really good deal that they can have access to all three offices, somewhere to park their butts if they want to go work outside of their home, right? So awesome. we have a great deal with them, and thanks to Jason, the owner there, who with this opportunity. Yeah. So we have that deal to try to combat that, and then the other one is having an established name. And some agents just feel like they need that RE/MAX name or that Royal LePage name to have that recognition when they meet their clients. And you know what? If that's how you feel, that's good. And it's hard to change someone's mindset for that. I personally believe that we as agents, and I know for myself, I'm selected from my people because of who I am and how I do my business. It doesn't matter who I'm paying my bills to, because that's really all it is. Yep. It doesn't matter who I'm paying my bills to or what I have access to in terms of like my back end systems of how I run my business. No, it's how I do my business for them to give them the best possible deal when they're buying, or the best possible return on their sale. That's all it is. And how I'm a communicator, and how I treat them in the process. I am my business. And if someone's selecting an agent because of the brand they're with, hey, it still can be out there, but that's just not how my business has ever been ran, and it never will be. And some agents feel like they may need to do that. Totally fine. And that's for them. But you know what? The other thing too is, very quickly, we are becoming a recognized brand. We're the fastest growing brokerage in all of North America. We're over 11,000 agents already in North America, which is surpassed Royal LePage. And it's happened very quickly. And we're over 50 agents in Manitoba in less than 2 months. We're going to be over 100 very shortly here. And it's the more that come aboard, and the more that are around, and the more this is being recognized, people are already talking about it, and it's going to be seen. And when Remax, like I said, when Remax launched in the 70s, they were the new guys. Here they are now. Right. They're recognized. It's a cycle, and this is the new way.
Yeah. No, that's all. You know, it's funny though, you mentioned the thing, and I been in Jason's office spaces with a couple like tech launching things, and had an opportunity in the last couple of years to get to know him a little bit more, and his spaces are great. The one thing that I like pops in my head when we were saying that though is, when we did chat and train realtors in the other role, there was like, why don't you just like go to, in my mind or whatever, like, if you don't have that many clients, like get out into the other spaces, that like go sit at a Starbucks, put on your laptop a sticker that says, come talk to me about real estate or something, like, I don't know, or wear a sweater with your name on it in the back of it. Just be like really aggressive. I'm super tactic though. Yeah. Just do some weird stuff, to get that attention. So
you got to be in somewhere like a Launch Co-Share where there's other people around that are in other businesses. It's like, you got to meet people. Sitting in your office at your real estate brokerage office typically ain't going to do much for you. You got to get out and see people and meet people and be in front of people, whether it's online or whether it's in face-to-face, whatever it is. That's how you're going to grow a business. You're right.
Yep. Absolutely. Always networking is a major difference between seeing that on a bunch of posts and heard it on a podcast too, right? It's the biggest difference maker in many people's trajectories. Now, what, you mentioned like books, I don't know, jumping a couple of things here. I think this is awesome what you're doing. It's real. The disruptive cloud-based thing. If, and I'm just kind of referencing online, we're going to come back to, how to get a hold of you guys there. You guys just hosted an event here locally to kind of, I guess, like showcase, like the team coming together, and I'm guessing there was probably pretty close to that 50 mark that was there, because I don't think that was that long ago. Anything coming up in the calendar for you guys in terms of like creating that team environment and keeping that momentum going?
So nothing like scheduled dates just yet, but the other thing with what we're doing is Jesse and I really feel a large sense of responsibility to, this is a family. We're building a family locally for sure, right? Like we're across North America with Real, but we want to have a local family where we're collaborating with other agents, we're helping each other do business, we're giving other business opportunities, open house opportunities, off-market deals that happen sometimes in the industry. How can we share and help and do business with those that we like to be around? And our first event was a couple weeks ago. We had a patio party at my buddy Tommy's Pizzeria, and it was awesome. Okay. Thanks, Tommy, for hosting us. And we're going to have some more there. And it was a wild success. Everybody that was with most people with Real were there. And kind of our next phase is we want to host like a full day of learning. So bring some speakers in, have a full day of learning, and then a little mix and mingle cocktail hour party after. That's our next thing we're getting planned. We don't know exactly when it's going to be. Everybody's kind of in the heat of the spring market still. So we want to make sure that everybody has time to come. We will obviously be having a Christmas party, and we're going to be hosting stuff. We kind of want to do something quarterly every year moving forward is what our plan is, because we know that we felt like that was missing, that in-person fun getting together. Jesse hosted a coffee mingle chat yesterday. Out of the blue, he's like, "Hey, I'm going to go sit and grab coffee here. Anybody who wants to meet me, put it in our workplace chat. Anybody who wants to meet me, come grab a coffee." I think like 15 people came, and this is the stuff that we're going to be continually doing as we continue to grow, and more other agents with like-minded people are going to come aboard and say, I want to be doing the same thing, and I want to host something, and hey, I'm going to go sit down for coffee here. Come meet me, and let's mix and mingle. And after that, sharing ideas on people that couldn't make it, they're sharing the ideas in the workplace chat of what kind of went down. So yeah, there's a lot of events coming. Nothing in the calendar just yet, but this is the vibe of what we want to be, what we're going to be bringing, and yeah, the people that are around us make a big difference. And God, I had a lot of fun at the party.
That's good. Well, they have amazing pizza there. Pardon me, and drinks. I have been there a few times. So that is awesome. That sounds good for listener there. Now, actually, back to you personally though, before we kind of head towards maybe wrapping things up here. But you mentioned books that you read when you were younger, and just getting into like the business thing here. And sorry, I got my co-compadre here, my dog, decided to finally get up. You've been talking long enough. Get his face in here. But what is there anything that kind of put you on the spot? We didn't mention this before, but is there anything that you're currently pursuing reading, or a book recently that's kind of come to light? I always try to make a point of, I'm not an avid reader myself, but I do force myself now just because I know I learned so much from it. It seems silly, but it should be something that everyone does.
It's true. And it's hard to stay on top of it. So when I was first learning Building Wealth One House at a Time, I think it was John Schaub, I think, is the author of that one. That was one of my like pioneering books that I read. It was like, oh, okay. Very American based, took a lot of tidbits from it that I obviously utilized, some not. Obviously Robert Kiyosaki and all of his books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then that whole series. Just a really good mindset book of, okay, well, what is wealth? What is wealth and how do you build it? And, one of my favorite books was the one, I can't remember which one exactly it is, but he talks about basically leverage through the entire book. And it's all about leverage. Right. And that was one of my favorite ones that just resonates in my brain. I'm reading a book about Airbnb management right now, because I have a cabin that I own. It's my personal cabin that I'm just doing my own, my first little experience of managing it on Airbnb. And I have a full system set up where I'm using Logify and Price Labs to kind of talk with each other, to put it on Airbnb, Vrbo, have its own little website for direct bookings. And I'm reading a book right now about that, just learning about how to optimize that. I don't know if it's going to be a strategy I'll be fully immersed into for like full-time stuff in the future, but I just like learning about it. And the more I know about it too, for other people when they ask me about it, like it's enjoyable, right? So I'm learning about that right now, and that's kind of cool. And that's really the only book I think I'm kind of finishing that one off. I have some other ones on my shelf there that I've kind of read like 3/4 of it and was like,
I have so many of those books where I'm kind of like, okay, I see where you're going. I get the points, and then I never come back. It's like,
I know,
like 3/4 through, and they're good books.
Good book.
I don't know. I'm not the only one.
No, you're not. And it's there. Yeah. It's the issue is it's like, it's kind of repetitive for me, And it's like, I know this stuff. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Your brain starts moving quicker through that.
Yeah.
I got another one. I just, threw quickly on here, whatever for us to reference. But I think as people are like growing and, whether it be in like real estate or other things that we're kind of, probably going to have on here would be, you mentioned the word like leverage just popped in my head here. Like what's something that you find, is, you can do it. You're probably okay to do it, or maybe you're not at all. Maybe you're terrible at it, but something that you took off your plate early on in the journey through entrepreneurship. What was something that for you that you, had someone else do or help you, you hired for, found an app that worked for you? What did that look like?
Delegation is huge in my world, especially now. And it took me, I'll be honest, it took me some time to delegate. Early on, it was like I was doing everything. And I ran to a point where I got too busy for my own good, right? And I'm like, I don't want anything to start slipping through the cracks. So then I hired an assistant, and that helped with a lot of my real estate paperwork. So I wasn't falling behind on paperwork, and that was strictly what she would really be there for, was paperwork. And then I was still managing my own properties at the time, and I hit about 10 rental properties. And then I said, I can't manage these myself anymore. So then I hired property management. And then kind of through life and what happened, I sold my family's gym, and I actually hired, my sister was running the gym, and it was perfect timing. I hired her full time. So she's like my full-time personal assistant. She now does in-house property management and like with me, but she does the whole management. It's more so I'm so hands-on and I'm really bad at delegating, and I like to have control in a lot of things. And I just know I have the people in place to do things for the best prices. And I don't like being upcharged from companies. That's one of my biggest things. So we kind of work together, and it's like, oh, if something happens, she goes, who should I use for this? She usually knows, just does it. But sometimes a unique situation comes up and goes, well, how do you want to handle this? And then I can actually have a say on how I handle it. So she does all my property management, does all of my paperwork. And as I kept growing, again, just stuff gets busy. So all of my bills are paid for. She pays all of my bills. She makes sure nothing falls through the cracks in terms of that. So my sister, I love her to death, and she is the reason I'm able to function at the level I'm able to function. 100%. I am nothing without my sister right now, in so many ways. And it's so true. So, having somebody and, having someone like her to help me to be able to do what I do and take so many tasks off of my plate is massive. And like, I have a bookkeeper. So she balances my books every single month, which again, early on, I was doing all of that. Obviously my accountant's there. I have lawyers that handle my corporations and make sure those are all neat and tidy. So delegation is massive. Early on, I really struggled with it. Even moving forward now too, it's like I have another realtor like on our team that handles a lot of the stuff that I can't handle anymore, which early on I take it all. I do it all, so delegating is huge, so important for me. And without the people on my team and in my corner taking a lot of stuff off me, I wouldn't be able to do what I could do.
Awesome. That's I think you did a great job recapping there, and at different stages I'm sure you had to make those tougher decisions it seems tough at the time. It's like kind of been there in lighter ways where it's like, okay, now you have to like let go of this like control thing here, but it comes back tenfold because your time being valuable there. And Addison, it's been kind of, we're narrowing in on maybe wrapping up for today. If someone did want to get a hold of you, I guess like more catered towards like real, or if they want to find you to buy or sell a house with, what's the information there that the listener will have, all included in the write-up and stuff in here, but verbally if you want to pass that along here.
Of course, super easy. Honestly, I always say I use my digital business cards, Instagram. So awesome. Go on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. It's super easy. It's just my first name, last name all together, at Addison Herosian. Add me on Facebook. Jesse and I do have our website, thepetershorosiangroup.com. So check that out too. All of our listings are on there. Some more information about buying and selling, how our process is in terms of buying and selling. We don't have a page on there about real yet. We're actually in the process of making that. So we've been busy, but that's kind of next. But honestly, I just tell everybody, just DM me, message me, and I'm always open for a chat. If it's about if it's about real estate, if it's about investment properties, if it's about building, whatever it is, message me. I'm an open book. Let's jump on a Zoom. Let's meet for a coffee if you're local. And this is the stuff that I like doing. And like, even like hopping on here with you, Steve, like, man, this is the stuff that fills my cup, helping other people. It's just, I got all these businesses, and it's great. And this, they essentially run themselves so that I'm able to do these things, which is what I enjoy doing, and to help people. And, after this, I'm going out to show a couple houses to a couple buyers and see if I can find them their dream home, and then I got a listing appointment to hopefully tell someone that the house is worth more money than they even thought,
Yeah.
After I'm done with it, it will be anyways. Make it look pretty
awesome.
and crush the marketing and get it sold. So yeah, this is what I enjoy doing, helping others. And any questions, DMing me is always the easiest way. And I check that thing regularly. I check it all the time. So that's going to be the easiest. Website's another option. And then once we chat and connect on DM, can get my email. And also on my page, on my Instagram page, I have a little link tree that has my contact information. I have my cell phone number on there. You can give me a call. I have my email on there. I'm an open book.
That's awesome. Great. And, great energy. Thanks for jumping on here. I think you're going to do, this is going to be a great episode to share with listener about education on the real estate industry, your path and journey, and, how to do business with you ultimately in the end here. So thanks for joining today. It's been a pleasure having you on here. So we will chat more soon.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Steven. Appreciate it, man. And we'll catch up later. All right.
Sounds great.
Okay, buddy.
Okay.